Hi, Smarter News. Two big news stories to have on your radar today that really highlight the traditional tension in America that has always existed between the federal government and the state. Although they're not being framed this way, and I think it's a smarter angle just to consider. The two stories have to do with elections and voting laws in America, as well as what's happening at the U.S. southern border. So let's start at the border. We have a big announcement by the White House today. The vice president will be traveling to the southern border on Friday, and this is notable for a few different reasons. Number one, we're seeing historic numbers at the border. We've talked quite a bit about this record number of encounters at the U.S. southern border that we haven't seen in modern data collection. Number two, Vice President Harris is in charge of this issue for the White House. She was put in charge by President Biden. So this is notable. This is her first trip. It's also worth noting the timing. Why is she going now? The White House was asked about this, and they were asked about this because former President Trump announced he's going to the border next week. The White House says her visit has nothing to do with that, but take that for what you will. One big picture item to know about this is that the federal government, for the most part, is in charge of security at our borders. So if a foreign enemy comes over the border, the full force of the federal government will respond. And although there's often tension with the states, the border states, this is notable to understand the significance of the vice president's visit because she is a member of the executive branch, a representative of the federal government. The second big story you should know about has to do with voting and election laws in America. You've probably seen this described this week as a voting rights law that was halted in the Senate by Republicans. It was a bill originated by Democrats. So we're going to take the partisan politics out of this just for a moment because the bill is paused, at least for right now. And let's just talk about how elections are set up in America. The Constitution requires that states run federal elections. This is why how we vote looks a little bit different depending on where we live. How I vote and how you vote may look different. So there's always tension when the federal government or there's a federal law that looks like it could be telling states how to run elections because that is part of the state's responsibility. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened in the past. But that's always a little bit of the tension at play. And it's something that's easily forgotten that your states run how you vote in federal elections. So while there's a lot of partisan tension about both of these big topics, I just thought it was important to highlight that this tension over who really has the power has really existed in America dating back to our very beginning. And it's the underlying foundation for a lot of these debates that are taking place, and I just don't want to lose that. So stories to note, questions, comments, let me know. And as always, more on all of these stories on smarternews.com.